Hey, hi. So I'm gonna make a little video about a train ride. Probably maybe the first train ride I ever took. And it was an older train, and I'll put a picture of it up later. But it was a train ride from New Jersey to Florida, Tampa to be specific, with my Grammie, not with my parents. My parents did not go. And I was only, I want to say 3.5, almost 4, maybe, old enough to kind of be aware that where's mommy? So, anyway, I went with Graham, which was great. Love my Grammy, and I hope if there's another side that we get to meet up again. That's always my hope. And if it's an illusion, it's an illusion I'm comfortable with of heaven, because a lot of people, like you don't really know. No, I don't, but I'm comfortable with the belief that somebody I love is somebody I get to see again. So anyway, be that as it may. So when I was, like I said, almost 4 years old, my Grammy took me from New Jersey to Florida. Now, there was a lot of mystery surrounding all of this. I never really got the whole story from anybody, even like up until the minute they died. Nobody ever told me, why did Grammy have me in Florida for all that time? And here is the beginning of that story, the train ride. So I brought on the train. I had to be carried on because my body was in a cast from my hips all the way to my toes. And since I was little, it didn't seem like a lot. But for me, that's a memory that I have. We were in a sleeper car, and for the whole train ride to Florida, I slept in this beautiful little room on a train. I could see out the window, and people brought me food. Speaking of which, the man that brought me food was a porter, and I think they were called Pullman Porters. It was a special branding because they had really good service and training and special uniform. He had this cute little cap on with the gold thing on. It was just the cutest cap you ever want to see. And the thing that impressed me to this day, he always wore these beautiful white gloves. They were spotless, clean, and he handled everything with, I don't know, his hands were just, they looked bigger with the gloves and they looked more elegant. I don't know. I'm a goofy kid. What do you want from me? And and he had brass buttons. When you're a little kid, you notice stuff like that. And so, it was amazing to me. And he became my best friend because one day, stuck in the sleeper car, he brought me in a big dish of vanilla ice cream, the old fashioned kind with the vanilla bean seeds in it, and all around the dish was vanilla wafers. Okay, so like if I'm overweight now, it's the porter's fault. You like how I did that, right? Anyway, he helped us on the train and helped us off the train. He got our luggage. My gram tipped him. I just was always impressed with that train ride because of the porter. He just made it so, and he was such a warm, he called me Miss Diane, and he had little twang in his voice, and that's what I remember about that train ride to Florida. Now in Florida, my gram wanted to go down there because she had two sisters already down there. She had three sisters altogether, but the Aunt Ethel was down there, and so was Aunt Peg. They were sisters. Aunt Ethel was a little older than her, and I think Aunt Peg was real close in age. Maybe she was a little younger. That's only my memory of it. Anyway, Aunt Peg had a son named John, but back then, I guess his name was Gregory John or John Gregory or something. But back then, they called him Greg all the time, and he was about 4 or 5 years older than me, so I would have put him at 9 or 10. But he was sort of the ringleader, I guess, because he got me collecting frogs at night. And in Florida, was you just one floor. There's no basement or anything. We lived in a development where there was a huge lake in the back, and there was alligators in the lake. But also the cool part was there was frogs on the lawn every single night and on the patio. And so I started collecting frogs. Now, here's the deal with collecting frogs. Your grandma will get you this beautiful little box and show you how to put grass in it and all kinds of things. And I used to catch lightning bugs and put them in there so the frog could have something to eat. And the other frogs, I just pretended they were my babies, you see. That's what tomboys do, right? They pretend like, little goofy critters. Whatever. Anyhow, so that I would do, but I would get up every morning and they'd have all escaped. Supposedly, a wink, wink, Grammie. I think my gram was letting them go every night, and I may have caught the same frog a few times. I don't know. Well, one night I really wanted to catch Grammie doing it because there was a beautiful, big, big, big bullfrog in there, and I was just like, I don't want to lose this one. I don't want to lose this one. And of course, this is after my cast came off and I was allowed to walk around and everything. So in the daytime, the lake was safe. People would go and, be on the beach. But at night, it was another story. So this particular evening, I waited. Graham was in the kitchen talking. Women, they didn't have a real chat room, okay? The kitchen was the chat room. And they're yakking away, and I just kind of snuck past. And the screen doors are always open in Florida because breezes and it's really hot. So she didn't hear me. And I went out, and my intention was to kind of go down to the pond or the little lake and see where my big frog was. Well, you're not supposed to get down by the lake at night because the alligators like to come up on the beach and sleep. Come on now. Come on. So I got a little ways down the path. I didn't ever get to down to the beach. And so I can hear the neighbors hollering, everybody's hollering. Grammie had found out I wasn't in my room, and she knew I was a little instigator. I was just going for it. I was always on an adventure. And she started screaming. I hear one of the neighbors grabbed me. And apparently, the alligators got, like, not only did they sleep at night, but they ate at night, and they got a little frisky with some of the dogs in the neighborhood. This is the story we were told. So, I'm a little kid, right? So no wonder they were scared. But I got back there and, don't you ever do that? That whole routine. And so, yeah, I had a lot of fun in Florida. Got tan, ate lots of food. There's a picture of me standing there at a picnic, just eating hot dogs and whatever. I don't know. I was having a good time going swimming, had some friends. I loved being in Florida with my gram, but I never saw my mom and dad. And, I was kind of at that place where, like, when's daddy and mommy coming? And they weren't coming. And little kids, we just keep playing. We don't know. I'm not going to say I didn't miss them, but when you're in another environment and things are shifting and you're gregarious and whatever, I don't know. I wondered about them, but it didn't traumatize me. At least I didn't think so. Maybe it really did. Come on, look at me now, right? So anyway, that was most of my Florida experience with Grammie. And the thing of it is that Grammie was a surveyor, like a land surveyor, real estate surveyor, and that was back when Florida was getting built up, new roads, new homes, new developments, and she was the only female land surveyor in the state of Florida for a short period of time. But there's an article I have saved in the garage that says, Grammie, and it shows a picture of her with a team of all guys. And her chosen profession was really kind of in accounting and advanced accounting. So she was perfectly suited to do land surveying because it's all books and numbers and, following up tedious, boring work that I could never in my lifetime imagine myself doing because I'm a talker, right? Anyway, so that was the deal in Florida. Now, my next memory right after that is somewhat blurry because I didn't understand. For years later, I really still never knew why I was back and what happened. But I guess in my teen years, I started to get a memory of it. Nobody ever verified this, but my memory was pretty real. And so, it's kind of a dream memory thing. I remembered being in a courtroom, dressed up like Shirley Temple, like my hair and ringlets and a cute little dress on with the crinoline and the velvet belt and like black and chenille and it was one of them dresses from Macy's. Hello, the spoiled brat dress, and I remember going up these stairs and having to sit next to the judge, and that he had this great big marble desk. The whole desk was marble, and the counter was marble, and all over the courtroom were wooden carvings and a big saying with the 10 Commandments on it and a 23rd Psalm. I mean, it was like the real thing. And the ceilings had to be, well, I was little, but I'm thinking those old buildings had 16-foot ceilings, maybe more, maybe less, but it was just awe-inspiring. So here I go climbing up these little steps, and I remember it was so fun because I got to sit on a New York City phone book. Now, it's legend. There's probably a lot more phone books now, and they're smaller, but everything was in that, all the boroughs and everything else. And so it was a pretty thick phone book. And I got to climb up on it, and the judge, I remember him. He was a very nice man. He had very little hair, but he was very nice. And he said, "Now, Diane, I just want to ask you one question, and then you can go sit down. What I want to ask you is, you see your Grammie at that table?" Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I'm getting scared now because it seems like there's something serious happening. "And do you see your mommy and daddy at the other table on the other side?" Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. "Well, Diane, how do I say this to you? But they both want you to come live with them. Would you like to live with your Grammie or your mom and dad?" It was okay to look cute and be in a big room, but to be asked that question after I just came back from having this wonder, I think I was down there at least 5 or 6 months gone from New Jersey. And here we are back, and the judge is saying, "Who do you want to live with? Do you want to live with Grammie, who just gave you this wonderful time? Or do you want to live with your mom and dad?" And I looked over at my Gram, who was the most elegant woman. She was so proud of herself because she was a self-made woman. Even back in the day, she had accomplished a lot for coming from a poor family, basically, and a society that really probably didn't want female Lancer. They didn't want female anything back then. Sorry, you gotta be a mom, a nurse, or a teacher. That's your choice. And she made something of herself, and she sewed her own clothes, and she had a beautiful dress on, and her hair was just so. And then I looked up, and she was crying. And then I looked over at my mom and my dad, and they're kind of leaning forward on the table, holding each other's hands like they were praying and hoping, and they had those puppy dog eyes. I dreamt this, but I know it was reality because it was too real. And I turned to the judge and I said, "Judge, I want to live with my daddy and my mommy." No, nobody in my entire life explained what had happened besides the fact that I was healing from falling down. And what I was told later is that first I was told I fell off a building. I mean, I believed that for a lot of years, and I never could remember how I got there. And then they said I fell down some stairs, and I was playing with this boy, and we were jumping up and down, and apparently he tripped and I fell with him, and we rolled together, but he rolled on top of me. Now, you know what? I'm guessing that this is true because the boy only, I remember him bleeding on his head. He hit like one of the steps sideways, and he didn't have a concussion, and I don't even know what that was, but I remember that word being spoken around the house when they were playing cards and stuff. You hear the words. So he fell on top of me. All his weight was on top of me, and I broke both hips and all the way down. I remember being on the little horse that they were putting the cast on, and the next thing I remember was being on the train going to Florida. So I'm not sure. It sounds like to me that mom and dad were on a break, like friends on a break. We were on a break, and that my grandma was taking care of me. And I think from what I've also kind of extrapolated from all the stories, that my dad was away for legal reasons. Okay, so I'm not real certain exactly what legal reasons, but when he came home, there was like another train ride, and I'll talk about that in my next video. Anyway, that was the thing. So am I okay about it? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Like, I've processed it. I'm an old geezer now. But that was always a mystery, and it stayed a mystery. It stayed a mystery until I started to put pieces together based on behavior and, things that happened after that, and things that were kind of spoken. But they never told anybody anything back then. Like, now you know everything. And not only do you know it, everybody on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Rumble, wherever, they all know everything. I was tempted to go to New Jersey court and look up the old records, but I was told they were on a microfiche and that I'd have to come in person and go through the records myself, and there'd be a fee. And it just seemed like super, super duper out of reach dream that would have been just so much time, and for the return on investment just to answer a question, I don't know. I guess if I had a lot of money like these movie stars that do ancestry.com, I'd hire somebody to go do it. In the meantime, it remains a mystery. If you ever saw the movie Shakespeare in Love, there's a character in there that says I don't know, it's a mystery. So it's not a mystery that I got over it, though. So whatever happened happened. I loved Florida, and now I don't. No, it's all good. I'm fine. Okay, guys, next video coming right up.